Welcome back to Storiez 13 channel. Tonight's tale follows Daniel Brooks, who thought he scored a bargain at a flea market until he developed the last roll of film. What he found in those photos will make you think twice before buying anything secondhand. This happened to me recently. I was at a flea market looking for some cool tech or just interesting things when I came across this old guy selling cameras, and he had a lot of really nice vintage cameras that I could tell were well taken care of. So I asked the old man if he knew what any of these were worth, and he said, "I have no idea. I inherited them from my grandpa, so I just threw them in a box and brought them here to see if anyone wanted them." He said most of the cameras didn't come with lenses. "I think only this one does," he added. And I remember my grandpa saying this is a good camera, but it's not just for taking pictures. The camera itself was very old and well worn, but it was also beautiful in a way. It was like an old classic car. You know, even though it was used, it still felt pretty premium. There was something about the way it looked that just made me want to buy it, even though I wasn't planning on buying anything that day. He put the price on the camera at $30, and I ended up buying it without even asking what that was. So I got the camera and I took it home and I put it on my desk. I just loved the way it looked so much. Like I said, it almost felt like a classic car. So I thought it would be really fun to try out this old camera, but I noticed it already had a roll of film in it. And I thought, well, hey, whoever put this film in here must have meant for me to use it. So I loaded up the camera and snapped a few pics around the house, and then I went to work. When I came back, I couldn't wait to see how the photos turned out. So I put the film into the developing tank and started the process. It took a bit of time for the photos to be ready, so I decided to watch a movie while I waited. An hour or so later, I poured the stop bath into the tank and then took out the first print. I hung it on the drying rack and I started working on the next one. When the first print was dry, I took it off the rack and started examining it under the light. It was a photo of a city street. It looked like a street near where I live. I zoomed in on the photo to get a better look at it. That's when I noticed that the street was completely empty. There weren't any cars, people, nothing. I thought maybe I messed up during the processing and somehow erased everyone from the picture. But it wasn't possible. I wouldn't have been able to do that by accident. I checked the next few photos, and they were the same thing, just different parts of town. But as I kept looking through the rest of the roll, something strange started to happen. In each shot, there was this shadowy figure that seemed to be following me. I didn't notice him in any of the photos until after I developed them. But there he was, getting closer and closer in every shot. I looked at the last photo on the roll, and my blood ran cold. The figure was right behind me. He was standing in my living room. I could see his face in this picture. Well, I could see the side of his face. It was an older guy, kind of looked like the old man at the flea market. But why would he be in my house? I quickly looked at the timestamps on those photos, and they were all taken within the last few hours, like while I was in the house. I started freaking out at that point. I mean, how is this possible? Was that old guy stalking me? Did he put this camera in my hands on purpose so he could follow me and take these photos? Was he gonna do something to me? I needed to find out what was on the last photo, the one that was still in the camera. I turned off all the lights in the house and tried to make myself calm down. I had to focus on the task at hand, which was figuring out what was going on here. So I brought the camera over to the sink and filled it up with stop bath. Then I poured the developer into the camera and started shaking it around to make sure it mixed evenly. When I poured the stop bath into the camera, I could feel the film inside moving around, like the film was reacting to the liquid. It was weird. I wasn't expecting that. Then I pulled out the film and put it into the drying rack. My hands were shaking so hard at this point. I put on the first print, and it was another picture of a city street, just like the others. But this one was different. This one had me in it. I looked at the timestamp. It was exactly the same time as the photo of the old man standing in my living room. I carefully examined the photo to see if I could spot anything else. And that's when I saw him. He was in the background of the photo. He was standing behind a tree, just staring at me. I immediately ripped the photo out of the drying rack and put it face down on the counter. I was freaking out at this point. I seriously considered just calling the cops. What if this old guy was stalking me? What if he planned on hurting me? What if he's watching me right now? But as I looked over at the drying rack, I realized I had another chance to put my mind at ease. There was still a photo in the camera. I hadn't processed it yet. So I rinsed it off, put it in the developer, shook it around, and then put it in the stop bath. It was the last photo on the roll. I hung it up on the drying rack and waited for it to finish developing. Then I walked over to the rack and took off the photo. I examined it carefully under the light to make sure I wasn't missing anything. The photo was amazing. It was a picture of me sleeping in my bed. I was laying on my back and my eyes were closed. I had my arm up like I was gonna throw a punch. The quality of the photo was insane. It was perfectly focused. Everything in the picture was crystal clear, and it was timed perfectly to... The photo was taken less than 2 minutes before I woke up. That's when I heard the camera click again. I instantly froze. I was staring directly at the open camera on the table, and I could have sworn I heard the shutter click. I slowly turned my head to look behind me. "Hello," I called out into the darkness. There was no reply. I turned back to the camera. It was closed. There was no film inside of it. I opened it back up, and there was nothing in there. I don't know what to say. I don't know how this happened. I'm still scared. I haven't slept in my own bed since this happened. I'm staying with a friend right now. I brought the camera with me, but there's no film in it, and I don't plan on putting any in it anytime soon. I showed this camera to a few friends, and none of them had any idea what was going on either. They thought it was cool, but they all said they didn't want to touch it. I don't blame them. I'd probably get rid of it, but I can't. I think it might be cursed or something. Like I said, it's just sitting on my dresser right now, closed and empty. Thank you for listening to tonight's unsettling story. If it sent chills down your spine, subscribe to Storiez 13 for more tales that will haunt your dreams. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your camera lens covered.